Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at noon starts now.
Good Thursday afternoon, Mount Clemens. Good Thursday afternoon, everybody. Afternoon sunshine does not get any better than this.
More layoffs for a member of the Big Three. This time, a Metro Detroit plant is being impacted. But right now at noon, we begin with breaking news in Westland, where a broken water valve is sending water dozens of feet into the air out of a manhole. This all playing out at Cherry Hill and Wayne Roads. Traffic down to one lane on the road, but the intersection traffic is open. The Great Lakes Water Authority is working to repair that valve. In the meantime, water pressure in the area could be lower than normal. Also breaking right now, firefighters battling a business fire in Southfield along Northwestern Highway. This is taking place at Body and Soul Thai Massage. That's near 14 Mile Road. Right now, no injuries being reported. Investigators trying to figure out how that fire started today. Also developing here at noon, parents and Detroit city leaders coming together this morning to call for an end to gun violence in Detroit. Local 4's Coco McAvoy joins us live this noon. And Coco, what's the message there?
Yes, Hank, it was a very powerful message and a very powerful rally as well, because a number of people, from city council members to people who lost loved ones to gun violence, stood together to unite behind a very strong message. Take a listen.
But we are standing here today to issue a call to action to all of our young people to say, stop the violence. Stop the violence.
Detroit City Council member Mary Sheffield spearheaded the rally today, talking about the very real issue of gun violence.
The leading cause of death among African American males between the ages of 15 and 34 is homicide with a firearm.
Members from Moms Demand Gun Sense in America also spoke at the rally today.
We are Americans demanding common sense solutions to the gun violence that endangers our children, families, and communities.
But how do you stop gun violence in the city? There's no definite answer to the problem. But Deputy Chief Todd Bettison says,
we have to utilize technology. We have to be innovative.
And it takes a community coming together to make a difference.
It's not about who you are. It's about your action and what you're doing. And we all can do something today.
And coming up at 5 o'clock, you'll hear from two Detroit mothers who lost their sons to gun violence, and they have a very emotional plea to the city of Detroit. Back to you.
And Coco, we see this playing out in Detroit. Is this part of a larger national movement?
Yes, because tomorrow is the kickoff to Gun Violence Awareness Month. And so tomorrow people are encouraged to wear orange, and there'll be a number of rallies in Detroit, but also across the nation to kick off that month.
Coco, thank you for the live report. We have new information on Wednesday's drug raid that took place in Troy. Michigan State Police confirming it was connected to an illegal grow operation of marijuana. A task force raided the facility on Austin near Maple Road, seizing 49 marijuana plants and about $11,000 in cash, as well as a truck and other equipment. One arrest was made. Police say the suspect, whose Shelby Township home was also raided, leased the facility to grow the marijuana and then supplied it to dispensaries in the city of Detroit. General Motors is cutting factory jobs once again. The automaker says it will eliminate one of two shifts at its transmissions plant in Warren. GM has not said how many jobs will be affected, but the move expected to eliminate about half of the nearly 600 jobs at that plant alone. In a statement, General Motors said recent actions to reduce passenger car production have caused the company to adjust its transmission production. Meantime, the Big Three just releasing their sales numbers for May 2017. General Motors sales, well, they went down for May about 1% compared to this time last year. On the other hand, Ford sales went up 2.2%. And FCA just reported May sales are down 1% since 2016. Let's get you over to Brandon Rue with a look at the weather. Beautiful shot there from up above of Campus Martius. A lot of people enjoying the beach today, I bet, Brandon.
Oh, it is great out there. And boaters, too, trying to get some of those miles on the engines the last couple of days, dealing with a pretty heavy chop. Not the case today. We have the sun and light winds. Thought temperatures would be a little bit warmer by lunchtime, but we're on our way. 67 at Metro, 65 Pontiac and Howell. We do have near 70-degree temperatures in Adrian, 69, 67 Monroe, it's 65 in Mount Clemens. Temperatures will be heading into the low and middle 70s. The wind has sort of been variable, coming from different directions, the north and from the northeast, so it's kept our temps just a little bit cooler. Eventually, these west-northwest winds, again, not real strong, but a few high clouds out there. 71 at 2 p.m. and about 74, 75 degrees for an afternoon high. This is an example of our wind out there, or a look at the wind field, and you can see here in Pure, Michigan, it's sort of coming and going in every direction. Eventually, we get into this northwest flow, and that will be the case again tomorrow. So clear skies now. What about Friday rain chances? We will detail that coming up.
Brandon, thank you. A new study revealing the dangers for teenage drivers. According to AAA, deadly crashes involving teen drivers are up 10%. A new study also finds new teen drivers are 3 times as likely as adults to be involved in a deadly crash. We're also in the middle of what's called the 100 deadliest days, that time between Memorial Day and Labor Day, when deadly car crashes involving teenagers go up 15%. AAA also finds distracted driving plays a big role in more than half of those crashes. The final day of the Mackinac Policy Conference underway up on Mackinac Island. Today, we'll hear from Michigan Governor Snyder. And our own Devin Scillian will moderate a discussion with Darren Walker. He's the president of the Ford Foundation. We will have complete live coverage from Mackinac, and that will begin today on Local 4 News at 5 o'clock. Well, for all of you Shake Shack lovers, listen up. A brand new location will be opening this year in Metro Detroit. That new restaurant is going to be in Troy, not far from Somerset Mall. This all comes after Shake Shack's first Michigan location opened in the heart of downtown Detroit last year, making the newest restaurant in the second restaurant here in the state of Michigan. Still ahead here at noon, 3 teenagers get stranded on a dangerous cliff. What rescue crews had to do to get them to safety. Also, a big explosion at a Midwest corn mill. What we're learning about that deadly blast, and also about the workers who were trapped inside. But first, President Trump has the whole world anxiously awaiting his decision on the Paris climate deal. We'll have much more after the break.
Our client.
Later this afternoon, we are expecting a big decision from President Trump on whether he will pull out of the U.S. Paris climate agreement. As NBC's Matt Bradley reports, his decision has world leaders anxiously awaiting.
Well, if Trump does follow through with plans to withdraw from the Paris Accord, that could make a few ripples in the international stage. In the short term, it looks like nothing will happen, and that's according to Jean-Claude Juncker. He's the president of the European Commission. Now, he told an audience in Berlin yesterday that it would take the U.S. 3 to 4 years to fully withdraw from the treaty. That's because this 200-nation accord legally enjoins the U.S. to certain emissions commitments since the Obama administration signed it last November. In a clear dig at Trump, Juncker said the law is the law and everyone has to stick to it. Not everything which is law and not everything which is written in international treaties is fake news. You've got to stick to that. But in the medium term, a withdrawal means that the U.S. no longer has to reduce its 2005 emissions levels by 17% by 2020. And it also releases the U.S. from having to reduce its emissions by a further 26 to 28% by 2025. Now, that would, of course, carry serious consequences for the environment. But there are foreign policy considerations here as well. In the longer term, experts say Trump's withdrawal from the Paris Accord wouldn't amount to a bold assertion of U.S. independence and power. Instead, it might actually cede control of an emerging global climate regime to China and Europe. And as if on cue, Chinese and European representatives are just this morning kicking off a 2-day summit in Brussels, and climate change is likely to top the agenda there. With Trump backing out, China undoubtedly sees climate change as an issue where it can now flex its global power muscles. Back to you.
President expected to make that announcement at 3 p.m. from the Rose Garden at the White House. You can watch that announcement live right here on Local 4, also at clickondetroit.com. One person is dead after an explosion at a mill plant in southern Wisconsin. That explosion happened last night at the Didion Corn Mill. It's located in the village of Cambria, northwest of Milwaukee. You can see from the aerials there extensive damage. 12 people were working inside the mill at the time and were injured. Firefighters on the scene were tasked with fighting that massive fire and also working to rescue those inside.
I think the big thing that everybody has to realize is that the fire was still active. You had fire departments that were trying to put the fire out to be able to get inside and get to the people that needed their assistance.
Right now, 2 employees still missing. Firefighter crews are still sifting through all the debris there, working to find out exactly what caused that explosion. We have new video from the British Coast Guard rescuing 3 teenagers who were trying to scale a 200-foot cliff in southern England. The teens weren't wearing proper shoes or using climbing equipment. The video footage shows one of the barefoot hikers slipping off a cliff and being caught by a rescuer positioned just below. Due to the location of this incident, a ground rescue was deemed just too risky. All 3 teenagers were airlifted to safety by a helicopter. Brandon.
Coming up, also a look at your weekend forecast. It's been a short week thanks to Memorial Day. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 2 rain chances. We'll take a look at Friday's showers and beyond next.
Suicide hotlines save lives, but these days most of us spend more time texting than on our phones talking.
We had to prepare for how are we going to reach the youth in our community that are in crisis if they're not going to call us.
I'm Dr. Frank McGeorge. Tonight at 11, I'll show you how a new partnership is reaching out to teens and everyone else to make sure help is there no matter how you ask for it.
Diamond.
Have you? All right, a beautiful day here in Detroit, but I told you I'm looking forward to that Tigers game tomorrow night.
It's going to be good to have him back home again, isn't
it?
Feels like it's been forever. Listen, tailgating, maybe a couple of showers.
Okay.
Other than that, I think you're going to be in pretty good shape, Hank.
Good. Hank and everybody else?
Oh, yeah. Maybe 40,000
friends?
Yeah. Bring it. It's going to be a decent night for baseball. Wish it was tonight, but we've got the weekend ahead as well, and most of your weekend looking pretty good. The big Grand Prix race going on, Belle Isle. Right now we're looking at 67 degrees. Thought we'd be into the low 70s at lunch, but the winds through the morning have been coming from the east-northeast off of the big lakes and just slightly cooler than anticipated, and I think we will be taking off into the 70s here pretty quickly. And look at that beautiful blue sky. Looks really nice out there. 75 or so through the afternoon. Calm winds. A little bit more cloudiness as you head up into the thumb, maybe parts of southern Ontario, over Lake Huron especially. Overnight tonight looking pretty good. Mostly clear around Metro Detroit, 53 degrees, which means suburbs likely, like this morning, dipping into the upper 40s early, maybe 5, 6 a.m. on your Friday, and a couple of showers in our north zone about that same time. And then the shower chances move a little bit farther south. This morning, computer models had everything north, and the midday models are bringing a couple of Friday drips into play, but do not cancel any of your plans. Not going to be anything like that. A look at some of the showers. The policy conference up in Mackinac once again. Cold and rainy today, not ideal, but we'll track some of this moisture coming out of northern Ontario that will be part of your finally Friday. Things will start to warm up nicely on Saturday and Sunday with a warm front coming. It also could bring a little bit of trouble, but here's this afternoon, 4:30. We mentioned a couple of clouds out there over Lake Huron, maybe a shower or two, non-impactful for anybody but maybe the freight crews coming through. Tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., there's a couple of showers up north, along and north of I-69 through the morning, and then through the lunch hour. Wait a minute. unit sinking a little bit farther south into Macomb County and over Lake St. Clair, parts of southern Ontario. Here's 5 p.m. and may get a super soaker or two in the area. These will be very brief and move through real quickly. Saturday starts out nice and warm. By the evening hours, we get a warm front that could trigger a few rain and thunderstorms. Again, that would be 7 or 8 p.m. on Saturday, and unfortunately lingering overnight. Some more showers Sunday through the lunch hour, but should dry out. Some sun and warming wind Sunday afternoon, getting us, Hank, into the 80s.
All right, Brandon, thank you. Well, we have a Help Me Hank alert about a tax relief ripoff. Self-proclaimed experts promising to help you fight the IRS, but they don't deliver. We've already been hearing about people losing big money all over the country and also here in Metro Detroit. So right now, important information from the experts about how to protect yourself and your cash.
It's a tax scam nightmare spinning out of control.
The IRS claims that I owe them money from 2001, 2002. I don't feel that I owe that money.
When Joe Feldman reached out to a tax relief company looking for a tax attorney to help,
I got served with a lawsuit from the IRS.
That's when the company took thousands of dollars from Joe and washed their hands clean, saying their attorneys don't actually go to court.
I felt very deceived. I grew to hate them. To the core of my being, I hate them.
So how can they get away with it?
Because the firm is not a law firm, the company itself is not allowed to be in the business of providing attorneys to the public.
These companies hire salespeople to get you in the door, and the attorneys they say work there don't operate under state regulations and the code of ethics.
They're about preying on people for the most part, preying on their fears.
So what can you do to protect yourself? Find a licensed tax attorney, a certified public accountant, or an enrolled agent that will handle your case. Check their credentials and always check their references.
Unfortunately, the reality is it's one of the many tax-related scams we continue to hear about. Even though we have passed the tax deadline, we have more information about the scams that are out there. You'll find everything you need to know on the consumer page of our website, clickondetroit.com. Still ahead of here at noon, the world's largest airplane has just been revealed. What this plane is designed to do when it takes off.
Kevin Dietz, Karen Drew, the longest-running investigative team in Detroit. You can depend on the Defenders.